Now the torch has been passed to a new leader, new stars, and new names on the road to Tokyo and the Olympic Games in 2020.
Get the gold medals ready again.
The Olympic Channel, home of Team USA, presents the 2017 U.S. Classic. 4 years ago, 3 young women took the floor of this same event. Lori and Madison and Simone would use the U.S. Classic as a starting point to launch their Olympic careers. Now we return to the suburbs of Chicago and the Sears Center to begin the hunt for the next crop of American Olympic gymnasts. The athletes are on the floor. You are looking live, and we're going to start tonight's event the way all these events start, with the U.S. National Anthem.
At this time, we ask that you all please rise and remove your hats. Here to perform our national anthem from Madison, Wisconsin, Elizabeth and Shane McGargle.
So the athletes will move to their first event and start warming up. And among those athletes is Ragan Smith. She was an alternate for the Rio Games, and now at 16 years of age, believe it or not, she's considered a veteran of this program and a leader of the team. Also joining her, another veteran, Ashton Locklear, was also a reserve for the 2016 Games. She is an uneven bar specialist, and she is here in Chicago also competing, hoping to keep her Olympic dreams alive. But many other women are here ready to make a name for themselves and prove they are ready for the limelight of leading Team USA. Hello everyone, I'm John Roethlisberger, once again joined by Olympic champions Tim Daggett and Nastia Lukin, and we are here at the Sears Center again, a frequent stop for the U.S. Classic, and it's 2017, Tim, and it seems like yesterday we were at the Rio Olympic Games, but in the sports world, it's ancient history, and I think for a couple of these athletes competing tonight, they would much rather look forward at what's coming than look back at 2016.
Well, absolutely, and as you mentioned, 2 of them were Olympic reserves, Ashton Locklear and Ragan Smith. They were so close to being a part of that Olympic team, that dream team that went on to win all of those gold medals in Rio, and I'll tell you what, they are looking forward, and they're looking for gold themselves.
Well, Ragan Smith and Ashton Locklear are back as seniors, but Nastia, there's a huge crop of these athletes who over the last few years were the top juniors, but now they get their shot at being a senior. Who are some of these that we should look for?
Well, they absolutely do. I think as exciting as Rio was, these new girls out here are going to be just as exciting, and everyone's going to get to know them. Somebody that really stands out to me, Morgan Hurd. This is her first year as a senior, so we're going to see a whole new side of her. Of course, we've seen her a few years ago as a junior, but she is one of the really promising talents as we look ahead towards Tokyo in 2020.
Well, it's the first step in a long journey, but these performances tonight matter. These athletes will continue this road to nationals later this summer and for a few to the World Championships this fall. We'll kick it off next at the 2017 U.S. Classic.
At Bridgestone, our engineers want to help make sure you're not stuck on the side of the road.
The 2017
to NBC.
The 2017 U.S. Classic is brought to you by USA Gymnastics. The gymnasts are finishing their one-touch warm-up before they begin their first rotation, and our first athlete up is going to be Abigail Walker. She is from Texas Dreams. Coach, you guys know well, a familiar face in the world of gymnastics.
Kim Zemesco, one of the absolute all-time best, a world champion in the all-around, and just one of the nicest people that you could ever meet. Really has a calm and cool side of her when she's coaching her athletes, and it shows.
And not only was she obviously a very successful gymnast, but as you just saw, she was Ragan Smith's coach as well. So she's been through that Olympic cycle and now, of course, has a new crop of girls here at the Classic.
And 4 of them, actually, which is amazing. And yes, you're looking at that right. She is not a giant, that's for sure. Kim was always the smallest gymnast, and she said that she was so excited when Ragan came along because she was actually taller than her. And then she got this one right here, who is even more petite.
There's Ragan Smith, and we will see her in the second rotation. She will not be doing vault here in the first rotation. Abigail was fun to watch in the warm-ups, just working out over the last day or so. You can tell she just has that kind of panache, a little bit like Kim used to have, and a little bit, honestly, like Ragan Smith has as well.
Yeah, she looks really totally unaffected by any of the pressure being on the big stage. You see that she's 15 years old right now. The way it works for international competition, to compete as a senior, you have to be 16 in the year of the championships. So she'll turn 16 a little bit later and is eligible to qualify for that World Championship team, where they'll take 4 U.S. female athletes, 6 on the men's side, to Montreal in October.
And of course, the World Championships after the Olympic Games, there won't be a team competition, so you're really focused on those, the all-around and the event finals.
And this is amazing. She's going to do a double twisting laid out Yurchenko, and for someone so tiny, one of the biggest obstacles is to be able to compress the vaulting board enough. They're right in front of us here. Compress the board enough so she can generate enough power. This is not an easy feat to accomplish, I can tell you.
And this might be the most nerve-wracking part of competing, the waiting for the green flag to come up from the judge.
Yeah, and I'm looking right now, there is a red light. They are actually moving towards the international standard, and the green light has just illuminated. So she'll do a half turn onto the board and then fly with 2 twists and a 1.5. Oh, actually only doing a full today.
Now, was that a change, do you think, mid-vault, or do you think that was the plan?
You know what, it's funny, because as I was saying it, I looked over and I saw Kim, and she kind of gave me a look. So I don't know. I'm pretty sure that I saw her training a double twist during podium training.
But this U.S. Classic competition, it really is.
Cleaning up some scores, Abby Walker, first rotation, actually a 12.9. Abby Paulson on floor, 13.25, and you can see Miley O'Keefe's bar routine, a 13.75 with that air. Saying, I have my money on her, and I think anytime he says that about anybody, I think that's a very good sign. Ragan Smith just doing 2 events tonight, but this is one of her best, the balance beam.
And if she were to have made that Olympic team in 2016, this is where she would have really solidified her spot. Not doing the same dismount that she's capable of, but just a jam-packed routine. She also does that back with a full that we saw from Morgan Hurd right here. Oh, actually I lied. That was gorgeous, though. Flip-flop layout. Here it is right here, the back with a full. So complicated and so great.
She added a few new skills, and these two are actually one of those. We'll be seeing that a lot more often. They've raised the value of that skill. But so confident, you know, it really...
She always has been, too.
Really has, and as you said,
wow.
Kim, not as difficult as of a dismount, but that dismount right there, I didn't really see much of a deduction.
I hope they didn't take anything, because there was nothing to take. That was a tremendous job. Boy, that first tumbling run, the flip-flop layout, she was sky high, then the back with a fall, and to cap it off, that dismount, oh, golly. Look at this. She does a flip-flop, and, you know, a lot of people are trying this, but she really bounces the beam. Just gets up in the air, nice position throughout.
And that was hard, but this skill coming up right here, so difficult and just perfect.
And I'll tell you what, you want to do hard stuff, but you want to make it look easy and beautiful, and that is quintessential gymnastics. Fly high, stick the landing. Gymnastics 101, baby.
I was waiting for
Classic
it. I was
Tim
waiting
Daggett
for
right
it.
there.
So Ragan Smith's night is done. She finishes on a very high note. Had a very nice bar routine, a 14.55 over there, and this one will probably be right up there in the high 14s as well. Morgan Hurd, meanwhile, on the floor exercise a 13.85, so kind of middling deductions there, 1.55 off. And I think that max score, Nastia, you talked about can go up as she heads through the rest of the year.
Oh, quite a lot, too, not just a little bit.
Ragan Smith, it's all high fives on the sideline. We'll see if the judges gave that routine a high five.
I'll tell you what, they ought to.
Ragan Smith is done for the evening. There it is, 15.35, a rare green triangle for that routine, less than a point off. Huge 16.2 start value.
Yeah, and that, remember, if that routine was done in Rio, that would be a 15.85, a ginormous number.
And not necessarily ginormous, but a big-time gymnast. Abigail Walker gets ready to go. We've seen her twice this evening. Has had some minor mistakes, sits in the 10th place in all-around as she heads into balance beam.
Oh boy. Oh, she was a little bit off there. Another.
Shades of Kim Zemeskala right there.
Yeah. And a little bit of Christy Phillips. And Christy Phillips is on the floor judging somewhere. I don't know if she's here on beam. Yeah, she is actually. Oh boy. Little bit of a balance check there when you land and you bend forward like that. The judges pen to paper. No. Little bit skewed off to the side. That second back handspring very crooked. And of course, Kim Zemeskal.
Not as much difficulty or confidence as we just saw from Ragan, but definitely some promising talent right here, and just a gorgeous mount. I don't know if it's because she's so tiny she uses a springboard or what, but
Yeah, that's a Kim Zemeskel pose, that first one. And so here we go. Nice combination, layout, step out, but you see those steps and then the adjustments.
in the dismount she does 2 back handsprings in a row into a double twist. So this is what makes it difficult. Those 2 elements into this, not as difficult of a dismount. That double twist is a little bit on the easier side.
You know, Nastia, Valeri beamed when he talked about the juniors in this competition, and she's a very young senior. But how much, and you alluded to it during that routine, how much does confidence make such a big difference for these first-year seniors or those juniors coming up and competing on the floor with the seniors?
Well, I think that's why it's so great that some of these juniors are able to compete with the seniors, because it really is a lot about confidence. Obviously, they're going to have more difficult skills and routines, but confidence is built from experience. And the more times you can come out here and compete on a podium in an arena like this, filled with people, it's only going to help you.
Abigail Walker waiting for her score. And this is Deanne Souza. An opportunity just knocked when Alonia Shenikova made that big mistake on her beamer team, because Deanne Souza is sitting in second place. And she's got a lot of ground to make up, almost 2 points as we talked about. But she puts together a clean routine, and she is going to give that all-around title a run.
One of 4 that are competing for Texas Dreams.
And Deanne has been in this competition 5 times, actually. 1 as a Hopes, 4 as a junior, her first time as a senior. And there's Abby Walker's score, 13.1. Unfortunate for Riley, but Ragan Smith getting ready to go on even bars. Won the American Cup earlier this year, probably the biggest win of her young career.
And I'll tell you what, she has really done a tremendous job on the uneven bars. So much more difficult. You see these skills, these inside Stalter skills, those are basically new for her. A lot of releases.
She has a new connection coming up right here, down to the low bar. A little bit of a leg separation, but great connection.
Just so much more difficult than she was doing last year, though. Beautiful dismount in the air, just a couple of little slides on the landing, but a lot of people said she's weak on bars in the past, but this routine right here has the potential to get a big score. She certainly has errors that she's going to need to clean up, but really a tremendous foot forward in the difficulty department.
And you see, these are those in-bar, her feet are a little bit flexed on each one, but that is very difficult to get your feet and legs all the way through the bar and right back up to handstand.
And this is a beautiful transition right here. Nice Stalder into a reverse hecht and connects it all the way down to the low bar. One of my favorite skills in gymnastics. Love that pack salto.
But this is the competition where she can really try those new skills before the national championships. Great dismount.
She's only doing a couple events. She'll do beam tonight as well, but she told us that she's absolutely prepared to do all 4 events, but it's just not in the plan in preparation for the P&G Championships and then the World Championships in Montreal in October.
We talked about how she is a veteran. She's only 16, actually turned 17 in 10 days, and she thought, man, that's old, age 17. It was funny to hear her say that as we see Riley McCusker's score at 13.0, so they nailed her on that dismount. But, she is young at the moment, but in 3 years she's going to be 20, and you don't see a lot of Olympians with the teen at the end of their age. Could this be one of those situations where it's going to be a tough thing to hold on?
Well, a lot of kids at this point, they say that they haven't made the decision. They're going to take it year by year. I asked her, and she said, no, I am going for 2020. I'll be 20 in 2020, and that sounds good to me.
That's a lot of 20s. 14.55 for Ragan Smith. As we see Abby Walker, we saw her start out on the vault rotation. Here she goes on bars.
Oh, boy.
Wow, what a save.
You know, you're going for those handstands. You got to go for them, but it's risky. Look at how far that is. That is a ride. I had to see this up close. I went down on the floor, watched her do that transition, that pack salto from high to low. I said to Kim, man, that is a long way. She said, no kidding.
Every handstand since that first has just been a little short, perhaps just playing it a little bit safe.
Co-head coach Chris Burdett there in the background, Kim Zmeskal's husband.
So, as I said, you've got to go for these handstands. You got to try to get right up there. And she really goes for this first one right here. Is a little over, huge arch in the back, but that is a well-trained young lady to be able to not fall over.
And she goes, just look how far this, as you said, Tim, look how far it is for her to go from the low bar all the way up to the high bar.
A nice dismount. She's just, I'm sure, glad to be done with this one. This was a tiring exercise after that struggle in the beginning. That's a 3/10 step. If you're stepping on the women's side, bigger than 1 meter, it's a 3/10 step, smaller, 1/10.
Nonetheless, Abby Jr. until now, and now she's all grown up. Can I say that about Morgan Hurd? She's all grown up?
Not quite, but
Abby Walker at 12.4 on the uneven bars.
certainly not going to challenge for that top spot.
And we obviously have to wait for that score, but it's all Alonia Shenikova's meet today, and certainly something she can build on, Nasty, as she heads towards the end of the summer.
Oh, absolutely. You know, again, it's not really about winning the U.S. Classic, but it is going to give you a little bit of a confidence boost going into the national championships, knowing that you can be on top of the leaderboard.
And you know, sometimes we get so focused on world championships and Olympic games, but for this young lady, if she continues to have the meets like she's been having at the P&G Championships, she'll make the national team. She'll have the opportunity to travel all over the world to compete for the United States of America, which is a pretty cool thing.
Got a smile out of her. She's been smiling a lot this last rotation.
I'm sure she knows at this point, without question.
I know it didn't matter what the meet was when I was a gymnast. It could be an inner squad against the national team in their own gym, but if you come out on top, you're pretty happy about it. And Abby Paulson there with her coach, Sarah Jancy, waiting for the score. Abby Paulson finished 9th all around at the Secret Classic last year, and so she will move up most likely in the ranking.
Really, if she wants to make her way into that top grouping, has to do a little bit more difficulty virtually across the board. If she can pull that off, certainly would be much more competitive.
Abby Paulson's score, a 13.5, so not going to close that gap, but nonetheless, a great night for Abby Paulson. Sarah Jancy, her coach, should be happy, and that young lady certainly is happy. Alonia Shenikova, she is your 2017 U.S. Classic all-around champion. We will wrap it up when we come back.
Come on, Lainey.
So Alonia Shenikova, she gets it done, 54.95, a comfortable victory over Abby Paulson, but a nice day for Abby Paulson. Moves up into that second spot. And not just these seniors, but we have seen a lot of outstanding juniors in tonight's competition. This Team USA Women's Gymnastics is going to be another tough one to beat as they head into 2017 and towards the 2020 Olympic Games. But don't forget, in less than 3 weeks, we'll have the 2017 P&G National Gymnastics Championships, men's and women's competition on all the NBC networks, the Olympic Channel, NBC Sports, and of course, NBC. So congratulations again to Alonia Shenikova on your all-around title. For Tim Daggett, Nastia Lukin, and everyone on the outstanding Olympic Channel production team, I am John Roethlisberger. So long from Hoffman Estates, Illinois, and the 2017 U.S. Classic. So long, everyone.